Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How we doing today, everybody? How are we? Sir Bossman, Slew Dog, what's going on, people? KF, Impish, Hyper Shane, oh my god. Hi, James, graduating college tomorrow. A Europa League win would be a sufficient gift, I guess. Congratulations, CB. Congratulations. Wirtz, Liverpool, Ornstein. Some other people are denying that right away. It's kind of an interesting one. You saw that members only video? Like you saw that it exists or you watched it? Because you're not a member. Daniel, Damian, Stewart, yes. Kazim, Sobi, Jack, Kulisevsky, Inji. We're getting a little bit of that black magic, but let's not pretend that we do not have significant injuries already. I mean, afternoon, can we have another rant, please? We'll see. We'll see by the end of this video with the nerves that I have. Yeah, I can't promise that I will maintain composure today. Gary said only the Bruno team. Gary can fuck off for that matter, okay? Gary is the most negative. I cannot stand how absolutely negative and just obnoxious ex-United players tend to be about United. They're so negative. Spurs are 17th in the table, and you got people sitting here going, with this one player who gets into their squad. Okay, then why are they 17th? Why are they 17th? You know? Why are they 17th? We changed managers mid-season to somebody changed our entire formation, and we're still slightly above them in the table. How is it that they have 10 better players, but they're below us in the table? Explain. I want an explanation. It makes no sense to me. It's like saying Leicester. It's fine. I would prefer to be the underdogs. One of the things that has made me uncomfortable. It's one of those things that make me uncomfortable is that, like, I don't want people to want us to win. You know what I mean? I don't want people to want us to win. I don't like that Arsenal fans want us to win because it's Tottenham, you know? I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I much prefer when people hate United. But I don't like that. Again, I have felt it is a problem that the ex-players who are given a big voice around United give them such a hard time. You know, I don't think it's any good for the team. I don't think it's good for the players. I think it's kind of a shame that the ex-players are such dickheads towards the team that we have. You know, like, how does that help them? How does that help the team perform better? You know, when the legends of the club are shitting on you every single possible opportunity, how does that help them? You know, how does that? I just don't get it. Like, what? How does that do anything? You know what I mean? It just, they all come across so bitter for some reason, and you have to I don't understand why. Why so bitter? You know, why so negative? I mean, the most positive ex-United player, which I can't believe I'd be saying this because I wouldn't have a few years ago, is Rio. You know, like, when did that happen? You know, when did Rio Ferdinand become the best United pundit? I want questions about that. When did Rio Ferdinand become the best ex-United player who as a pundit? When? Because that's mad. Okay, I would not have said that a couple years ago. I would never have gotten anywhere close to that a couple years ago. But now I feel that way. I feel Rio is the only one who's actually fairly assessed the team to a degree in recent times, and gives a bit of a fair, you know, talk on players and things like that. That is madness to me. That is madness to me. Patrice has been decent. The bar is very well. That's the point, Paul. Right? Like, the bar has been lowered so much by guys who are just such dickheads. You know what I mean? I just don't consider Patrice a pundit because, you know, most of his commentary comes via random Instagram lives. You know what I mean? But anyway, it's all good. It's all good. I like Patrice, but it is bizarre, like the way that they go down. Maybe because Rio speaks with fans more. I also think the other thing, though, is that Rio's gotten a bit closer to the club and the squad in recent times. You know, like, remember they brought him in for Leny, and he had a lot of like conversations with Leny. He's been a big fan and supportive of Euro, and I think that Rio has made an effort to be a little bit closer to the squad as a for whatever reason in there and be more positive towards them. Maybe as a consequence of the club giving him a little more connection and asking for his help and things like that, that he's been better about it since last summer. That is a possibility that there's some connection between those two things. Not that Gary Neville hasn't been involved. He's been involved in, the the stadium and stuff. But yeah, I mean, Neville's tried to be more impartial. Well, it's always been like that with him, right? Like his attempts to be neutral, he's just turns out he ends up being just kind of a dick. Like usually when I listen to Neville and Carragher talk about United, Jamie Carragher has much better takes on United, which is a bit ridiculous to me. I have to listen to a Liverpool player be more neutral and more positive and more just generally fair on United than an ex-United player. It's wild. It's very, very weird. That has always bothered me quite a lot. But hey, it is what it is, I guess. I just don't think it would help, especially ahead of a final. Why can't you, as these pundits as ex-players, as all of this, why can you not just be a fan? Like why can't you just get behind the team? Yeah, I don't know. Why not? Why not? Naveen, thanks for joining the membership, buddy. Money, I read somewhere that Neville's and Keane's do this protect. Maybe. It's a bit like, so you know who does this a lot in football or in the US is Shaq. Shaq absolutely shits on like every center in the NBA all the time because I think because he has a weak ego. And he can't. He's always been like that though, to a degree, right? He always shits on like every center. He has to downplay them. He has to insult them. He has to talk down on them, because it makes him better by contrast. I think in terms of his career, and his in his way of doing it. Except Jokic, yeah. Well, you can't with Jokic because it's impossible. Jokic is on another planet. Like if you sit there and try to talk down on Jokic, like everyone can see right through that. But yeah, Shaq does it to a large degree, and I find it really similar because you can tell it's an ego thing. It's self-preservation. It's a way of, talking oneself up. I'm really curious because this totally got sidetracked here, but because did I see something? Was it fake? Was it real that Michael Jordan is going to be joining to actually be on like a commentary team soon? Did I miss that? Is that real? Did anybody else see that? Because I think that would be if it's true, that would be one of the most interesting things I will have ever seen because Jordan has been outside of like the Last Dance type of thing, he's always been so far from like punditry, you know what I mean? Like he's been so far from doing any kind of commentary. I'm really curious to see how Michael Jordan contributes and what he says and his views on things because I'm really, really curious. He never talks. You never hear him. You never hear anything from him. And I want to know, where's he going to come out? Is he going to be somebody who's like talks up the players and talks about how great they are and things, or is he going to do the opposite? I don't know. It's strange, but it's like, we will see. We will see. I never know how to think about Jordan because you just don't hear from him. Ishfindir, thank you for joining the membership. Yeah, while we get started here, what I'm curious about, but I feel like recently Jordan was talking about LeBron and even saying like he's as good as, he was talking up LeBron quite a lot recently. There was some comment he used to have that he had very recently about that, I think. So I don't know. We'll see. No, that was Kobe Daniel, unfortunately, and his family. But anyway, thank you guys for joining. Before we get started here, yes, I see some new people joining the members thing as well. One of the things I was saying yesterday that I'm doing is, I've always said like in the Patreon channels, we always have, there's updates and there's things, and I share what's going on and all of that. But not everybody's in Patreon, and not everybody's in there or wants to be in there necessarily. And there's a number of people who support me here on YouTube. and all of that. And so for them, I wanted to make sure I added something in addition to your name showing up, in addition to the little things on the lives. So I'll be adding, I made the first like little video update for members only, and I'll be continuing to do that at least once a week throughout the summer and beyond that, to just share on like little things I'm working on, half updates, things before I'm putting them on the videos, a little more background, things like that. So I want to thank the people who have joined, and definitely for supporting, and that there's more I can pay back, I guess, for that. Thanks for joining, Marcus. But yeah, so thank you. In addition, as we get going, make sure to like the video and the stream. It means a lot to me, and always does. All right. Shoot, where am I? Did I tweet this video? All right, let me pin it. Hold on. Just doing my business side of things. But yeah, I am. It was a good distraction. Thanks for everything. Really, thank you, Stuart. Appreciate it. Thank you, Patrick. Money Mouse. Yeah, even though what you shared in the members video wasn't overly deep, does even mere comment of anything about the ownership create issues? No, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. It's okay. I'm still careful in some respects, but it'll be fine. But I do still have to be careful on things like the ownership and stuff. No doubt about that. Could you start an NBA channel? No. It's too much effort for me to do things like that. I can't get into two sports at the same time. I'm a casual NBA enjoyer these days. I just know the history really well. Why are Europa League interviews coming out today when you have another game in between? Well, yeah, all the Europa stuff is happening a week beforehand. I don't know why that is, but that is, yeah, how it is. But yeah, it's a nice distraction to talk about something else a little bit, because my nerves for this game are absolutely shot. I don't know about you guys, but like, yeah, recession indicator, right? But my nerves are completely shot on this game, I just completely shot on this game, and it just, man, every time I think about it, I'm like, oh my god, man. It's dread. It's like, I was confident before Sociedad, I was confident before Leon, and I was confident before Bilbao, but even like a day before and the morning of, I started to get a pit in my stomach and nerves. I still think we beat Spurs, but the pit is there so much earlier and so much deeper. It is so much worse, and it's really, really throwing me for the loop. Because it's I really, my gut is outweighing my head at this point. Logically, here, well, let me pull up some numbers here, because I know, not that this matters too much, okay? Logically, I know that, like, I don't know, man. Logically, what do I know? Do I know anything logically? I really don't. Like, it's just insane. Like, logically, I know that we should actually beat them. When you look at the players that we have, the guys who've been there in big games, the guys who show up when it matters, especially given their injuries, logically we should win in a final against a team like this. Logically, there's some matchups that I think suit us really, really well, that I'll speak about in my opinion, because I want to kind of talk through what we should do with the lineup and stuff as well. But I just can't get over it. And we keep going, well, yeah, because it's a Prem team and we're awful against Prem teams and all of that. But like, it's not like it's a mystery why we've been bad against Prem teams. To some degree, it's because we're not trying. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's goes a bit under the radar. Like, we've been throwing these games recently. You can say we haven't, but we have. Even a 10% drop off has a massive difference on how you play. You know what I mean? So I don't know how to judge us, you know? It is weird. It is weird, you know? But then you go to the finals and you go to the Europa games and we don't just win. Like, obviously Lyon was nuts, right? But you look at Sociedad, you look at Bilbao, we're nuts. We destroyed Bilbao by the end of it, you know. And obviously there was moments where it was touch and go, but that's a top 4 La Liga team. Are you saying Spurs are doing the same thing? To a degree, yes. You know what I mean? But like, hold on, let me check something here. I'm actually quite curious, like, about something. I'll look at some numbers. But like, I guess I would say like Spurs have been bad consistently. I'm not saying we've been much better, but our fall off in the Premier League has mostly come at the same time as our European rounds. Like, here, I'll pull some numbers up and we can look at this together. All right. If you look from January to March, we have 15 points in the league. They had 10. Right. Then the knockouts start. Okay. So like we weren't that bad in the league. And then the knockouts start. And then we have 4 points in 2. Like, they're bad recently and they're throwing games in the league, but they were bad before that too. Like, they were worse than us before the knockout rounds. They've been worse than us against Premier League teams all season. We've really fallen off since the knockout rounds started. There's no doubt about that. We've really fallen off in the league since then, but we've been really good in the knockouts. You know, so it's hard to like connect these things together and say, like, I don't like Spurs. It's just, I think that a good chunk of our really bad performance in the league right now is purely down to, you know, the rotations and such. Whereas they've been bad consistently, you know, for quite a long time. Spurs also have not faced right. Well, that's true. Like, who did Spurs have to beat? I mean, Bodo Glimt are a decent team, but they're not Bilbao. They're not Lyon. They're not, you know, even Sociedad in that respect. I mean, who did they beat to get there? You know, I think that we've come up against tougher challenges in Europe and succeeded. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've succeeded against better teams, more difficult circumstances than they've had to deal with as of yet. And we've been undefeated. We still haven't even lost. Spurs average 2.1 points a game. Yeah, but that's a useless stat because like, you have to go back like 3 years to make that stat work, Andy. Like, Van de Ven hasn't won a game since October in the Premier League. So I don't know how that stat has any application. It'd be like going back to Ten Hag's first season and saying, well, when Casemiro and Eriksen start together, we have a 2.2 points per game, which we did. So would you start Casemiro and Eriksen together? No, because you can't, like, that stat doesn't translate to now because it hasn't been true for a year. You know, you can't put it together. Van de Ven hasn't played 90 minutes in the Premier League since October. You know, like, you can't even compare. Yeah, they had AZ Alkmaar, Frankfurt, and Bodo Glimt. So our run-in was certainly tougher from the quality of opponents and such. You know, and I think that there's an advantage here in that we've been tested. Remember, James, you predicted Mainoo's injury? Yes, I did. But just remember, like, we've been tested a lot more in the Europa League. We've been tested a lot more in the Europa League than they have. That's what I think. Not that it makes it much better. The other factor is, I wanted to look at this, is that, like, so I know we've got this thing about, well, we've lost them 3 times and all that, but you got to go back to the games, right? Obviously, the first one was Ten Hag. I want to look at the second one, and I kind of want to show you, because this game, firstly, just take a look at this, for example, right? Look at the 11 that we put out in this game, okay? Because I recall we kind of threw this game. We put out, look at this team we put out, okay? And this was early in Amorim's tenure, and it was in a cup. Dalot was still on the left. Lindelof was our starting center back. Euro was, at this time, not the Euro we've seen now. Mazraoui was at right wing back. Our midfield was Ugarte and Eriksson. I can't think of a worse combination for us. We were starting Anthony and Rasmus as our two forwards in this game. You realize that? That's what, and it took, and Bayindir made a massive stinker in it. And the crazy part is, look at the subs. Zirkzee came in, scored. Ahmad came in, scored. Johnny Evans came in and scored. You know what I mean? Great. This is not a fair comparison to how we will play now. And it is for them, because look at their lineup. Outside of the center backs, mind you, I should bear that in mind. But they still had a strong, this is likely to be their midfield pairing, Sarr and Basuma. Madison's out, Bergvall is out, Kulishevsky is out. So it's going to be very similar in a lot of areas to this, a little weaker here and a little stronger here to that team. But ours is going to be way stronger. So I feel that is not necessarily a fair comparison, right? And then you've got, and then the 1-0, right? The 1-0 that is brought up as well. And then there's this one, Then there's this one, which is the last time we really played them. The 1-0 in February, we had a better team and still folded. But do you remember the context of this? Look at the bench. This was the game we went down to London when everybody got injured in training. And we made one sub, which was Cheeto, for 3 minutes. Do you remember the context around this game? Because we'd lost everybody that week in injury all of a sudden, and it was away. And remember, this was also pre-Casemiro's revival, to a degree, right? Even then, no Ahmad, for that game, who I think is obviously a big game changer. But we had no subs. And if you look at the way that this game played out, I remember we were pushing for a goal for the last 20 minutes. You guys remember that? I remember that game. We were pushing for a goal for the last 20, 30 minutes of that game. But we had nobody to sub on, and people were screaming, bring the kids on to try to get a goal. We were pushing. We had nobody to come on and change the game for us. We had nothing. I don't think we lose this game if we had one senior attacking sub, honestly, because we were getting really close in that game to scoring. I remember it quite explicitly that we were getting there. Garnacho missed a sitter. Yeah, that could describe every game this season. So unfortunately, we can't count on that in the final. But yes, we did have a chance. We weren't significantly worse or anything. If anything, this was a pretty even game overall. Easier to push. Yeah, but that's meaningless. Spurs have bottled leads all season. That's their hallmark. Spurs have bottled more leads than anybody all year. They get goals and then they give up goals. That's why they're so bad. That's why they're lower. That's why they can't win any games. But then you also look at this team and say, well, who's missing? Madison, who's the goal scorer from that game, and Bergvall. That's 2 of their 3 starters in the midfield, and Kulishevsky. So they're going to lose 3 of their starters from this game. We'll add Ahmad. We didn't even have Euro for this one. So we are going to get a little stronger in our 11, and they're going to get weaker in their 11 from this game, and we were close. And we actually will have a bench, Mount and Mainu and all of these guys, So I think that on balance, that's why logically, I think we have a chance. Will we have Euro? Well, that's the other thing I wanted to talk about, obviously, right? Yesterday, I think I spoke about the maybes on Zirkzee and Leny, and Sully put out some updates there too that align with everything we've heard. And look, they're trying. There's two different situations here, okay? There's two different situations here. Leny Yoro, okay? Here's the thing you have to bear in mind. Leny Yoro is still match fit. He's been playing for months. So it's how do I explain this properly? I'm trying to explain it correctly to make sense. If Leny could be back in training by Saturday, and he'll be ready to play. You understand what I mean? Like, because he doesn't have to build up fitness again. Just because you have an injury, you don't lose, the rest of your body doesn't lose its muscle sharpness, its fitness, or anything like that. If they're just making sure that any pain or discomfort goes away, but that there's no injury, he'll probably be able to play. It's not about building fitness. It's quite literally all they're looking at doing is saying, is whatever little injury you have out of the danger zone. So it's tight, but he's not going to have to build fitness. That's why you see sometimes players, this will happen, and then they can suddenly play again. It's a little thing. Zirkzee is the opposite. He is no longer injured, but he has to build fitness and make sure he can get up to full fitness without discomfort, without pain, without anything like that. So it's complicated in both of those for different reasons as to whether they'll be ready. That being said, I think at this point, for Leny, could he have an injection and play? Probably. Players do it. Zirkzee potentially has to only... Well, that's the thing too, Jack. Like, there's a difference. Like, starting versus playing 30 minutes. Coming on as a sub, Zirkzee's been very impactful. I think he'll come on as a sub. I personally, my opinion is it's tight. I think he'll make it. And I think he'll be a sub. It's one game. This is the time to risk it. There isn't a time where you don't risk it with injuries. Look, they get 6 weeks before the tour after this. 30 minutes, get 30 minutes out of some players. I think you could do it. Dalot, same story. I don't think he'll start. Like, you realize that it's funny, but Leny Yoro has more chance to start than Dalot and Zirkzee because he's still match fit, technically. You know what I mean? Like, it's a different story. Like, he's still match fit. So if he's out of pain, Leny Yoro could start. Dalot and Zirkzee will probably be on the bench if they make it. But I think they will. I really do. And I think we're playing it a little bit coy because, we don't want Tottenham to know how to prepare for this. You don't want them to know how to prepare for this. It's good to hide it. You know what I mean? And frankly, I think we're all guessing, and so are Tottenham then, because the team could change. I'll say this about the matchup. Another thing that gives us an advantage. We pretty much know what Tottenham are going to play, right? We pretty much know. You pretty much know what Tottenham are going to line up with. You know exactly what they're going to do. It's going to be Udogie, Van de Ven, Romero, Porro, if they don't get injured this weekend or play. It's going to be Sarr, Bissouma, and who's the other guy? Bentancur, right? And then in the front line, it's going to be Son and Solanke, and then probably Brennan Johnson. Could be Tell, but it'll probably be Brennan Johnson. You kind of know Spurs 11 today. You ask me who our 11 is, I have no idea. Honestly. Not just because of fitness, but where's Ahmad going to play? Where's Bruno going to play? Is Højlund and Garnacho going to play? Or does Mount or Mainu get into the team? Which center backs are playing? where, you can't really nail down United's team if you're the opposition right now. So, yeah, it's intriguing in that respect. You don't know what we're going to run out. What about Luke Shaw? One game, he's fit. He actually did have a little issue coming off in the last game, but he's in full training, isn't he? Luke Shaw was in full training, wasn't he, today? I didn't see that, actually. Luke Shaw was there. Can someone confirm for me that, by the way? Yes? Okay. So Shaw is fine. Luke stinks. Nah. I'm just saying, for one game, get him back at wingback. Because if he gets injured, you put Dorgu on. For one game, let him play the occasion. He's been in finals. He's been in big games. He played at wingback in that one game for like 30 minutes, and he was insane at wingback. He's still not there at center back. I'm not sure he has it at center back, to be honest. But he played his quality at wingback is on another planet. And I'm saying, if you just somehow, if you have this as a possibility, immediately I think we have the advantage. I'm asking for one game. I'm not asking for a week. What is that from, Fred? Because it was coming up in my mind and I was trying to think of it. Oh yeah, it's like the motivational thing, right? Little Uzi, right? Something, I don't know. But I'm just like this. The quality of this is the TikTok. Yeah. The quality of this has potential. You know what I mean? The quality of this has the potential to pin them back in a way that they can't handle. That's my opinion on this. It's been my opinion for a long time. That this pins them in a situation that they can't deal with. That's how I feel about it. Because if Udogie and Pedro Porro have to think about them all game, they're in trouble. They are in trouble. And I trust them on the occasion a lot more than Dorgu as of yet. It's a lot of pressure on Dorgu. I'd take the pressure off of him. I think this is a game you just put the best players on. Stop with the positions, things like that, right? Just put your players on the pitch. I don't want Ahmad in the front line. I'll tell you why. And I'll tell you exactly why I do not want Ahmad in the front line as well. You put Ahmad in the front line, then he's up against Romero when he's receiving the ball. Okay? You put him on the side, he's running against Udogie and getting to run in on Romero or Van de Ven from space. He's not beating them for pace, okay, as a forward. But if you can get him in spaces against other players, then he'll run at them when their pace is ineffective, when they're in the box. He's there. I don't care if he's defending. There are games where Ahmad will be, there's games where Ahmad will be good against the center back, causing pressure on them, all of that. There's a lot of games where I'd rather put him up against somebody who's a bit more difficult. No, I would put Mount in here, not Garnacho and Højlund. I probably am running this out, to be quite honest. Højlund won't be good in it. Højlund got dogged by Archie Gray. Vardiol is not a good defender though, Smokey. I agree with you, but Vardiol is Vardiol's crap. But was Vardiol out wide or was he playing in the middle? I don't remember. But it was also late in the game, mind you, in that, from what I recall. But I would do this because I think that it allows you to push Garnacho as a runner. It doesn't. I don't really worry about striker versus not or anything like that. I think Garnacho at best keeps them honest a little bit, running in behind. For what we have, that's probably what I would do. He'll still have to. He still keeps them honest, being the outlet. There's many times Garnacho's played, even with Højlund, where he's been the main outlet, and he's been the guy running in behind, right? But what this means, the reason why you do this is because both of these players arriving at the end of low crosses from Ahmad and Shaw is money. I'm not expecting Garnacho to get a goal. I'm expecting him to just keep him honest a little bit. It's not trying him at striker, but it's we've played Garnacho with Zirkzee. Zirkzee's not a striker either. He worried too much about the positions. It doesn't matter. It's fluid in the front three anyway. It's just Garnacho very often is the furthest man forward anyway. Like, I think people overrate positions in this respect. Striker, I think, matters in the final third, and Højlund doesn't do it anyway. He doesn't get into the right positions anyway. He doesn't get there. He doesn't get there anyway. You know what I mean? So what's the difference? Højlund's not finding his way in the box regardless, but Garnacho is very often the outlet ball. And I think that stretches them, and that will allow us to get Shaw and Ahmad up the pitch. And those low crosses in, Mount and Bruno are there to finish. They're there to finish those chances. That's what I would do. I'm not saying it's what'll happen. That's what I would do. Casemiro is a must for a big game, obviously. And you just keep riding with what you're winning the big games in. You just keep riding it. Maguire will start in the middle, obviously. There's no doubt about it. There is no doubt about it. Is it not better to have Garnacho off the bench? I don't know. But I don't think you got to have somebody with some running to keep them honest. And I think Højlund shouldn't be anywhere near the 11. It's a complete waste of time to me to play Rasmus Højlund. That's just my opinion, though. I think you still stick Mazraoui in. Yeah, look, Garnacho has scored in a couple big games. No way Amorim starts a front three without someone for hold-up play. I hear that, but can't Mount and Bruno do better than Rasmus does in the hold-up anyway? You know what I mean? Like, again, I'm not saying he was going to do this, but I think that you avoid the middle against Spurs anyway. You go wide. You just go wide. And this gives us our best bet wide. You get Garnacho to keep them honest, and that's going to create spaces for Ahmad and Shaw. That's all I'm looking for. The other thing I want to add about Mount and Bruno, exactly, Pablo. Right, we played a false nine that game, and Garnacho scored in the FA Cup final playing as the furthest forward. He did. And obviously, you hope you have Leny ready. If not, fuck, I honestly don't know. The back three is a little bit of a problem. But look, what I'm looking at here is like, first of all, I want to add one thing about Mount and Bruno as 10s. They support the midfield a lot better as 10s. Both Mount and Bruno, they do, in the 10s, they come deep. They make the gap smaller. They support the midfield a lot better. But if you're doing that, I really want aggressive wingbacks. That's what I want. I want really aggressive wingbacks, but I want Bruno and Mount to come deep and support the midfield. I get it on the concerns with the ball playing in the midfield and things like that. That's fine. But we need the legs. We need it in the midfield. We cannot play against Spurs without legs in the midfield. We cannot do it. We have to have legs out of possession. But if you do it like this, we can just move the ball up. Shaw's press resistant. Ahmad's press resistant. Mount and Bruno will drop in deep. I think this gives us the best chance of getting out of the blocks. And in worst case scenario, you still can go long to Garnacho on the run and keep him honest. Mount over Cobby, how times it changed. I don't think Cobby's fit enough for a game like this to start. I just don't. I haven't seen the legs in him. Betancourt and Sarr are very good, so need overload midfield. Well, I don't think they're very good, but I do think that this gives you a 4-on-3 in the midfield. And that way we can get the ball to our ball players wide. That's what I want. This is the game to use our wide players to their effect. Yeah, box midfield for overload. Exactly. That's what I'm looking at. You have energy. I mean, you have legs in here. Mount, Ugarte, Casemiro, Bruno. It's a mixture, but you have legs. You have ball playing. You have technical ability. You have ball winning, and you can just get the ball to the wide players as well. And then you got good box crashers too. To be fair, one thing I will say, all 4 of these guys are good box crashers too. And that's why I like them, because I think that's where we get our best chances to score goals, is crashing the box from attacks down the wide area. I mean, that's Amorim bread and butter, right? No, I'm saying on the balance of all 4, we have legs, Javier, not like each individual. I'm saying you back up the legs, the lack of legs, with other players with legs. You know what I mean? But, every one of these players can crash the box. Every single one of them can crash the box. It looks good, but if we start with that, what options do we have from the bench? Rasmus, who I think will be better as a sub in a game like this. Once Spurs are tired and he's fresh, then I think maybe he'll actually win a physical battle rather than doing it from the off. I think Rasmus at 65, 70 minutes has a better chance of actually like winning a battle, a duel, than he does playing from the beginning. Kabi Mainu at that point, even though I don't think he's 100% in terms of his fitness and all of that, him coming on against tired legs, I think that he's more effective in that way as well. Yeah, I mean, you could then Dorgu as well. Dorgu you can put on and shift players around, right? You can do this at some point later on if Mount's not giving you what you need or the game's not opening up for him. You can put Dorgu on to get in there. Zirkzee is the other one. And then one of our other guys like Dalot to help and support in the back line, stuff like that with some energy. Zirkzee, Delict maybe can come on as a center back, yeah. But I think that gives you options. Obviously, you could do this as well from the start, for what it's worth. I just don't. I prefer Ahmad. I prefer Ahmad in there against them. I don't want him sitting against Romero all game. I want him in the spaces running at Romero when Romero is backpedaling in his own third where he's terrible. You know what I'm saying? I don't want Romero pressed up in Ahmad's face all game. I want him it's a different circumstance. Like that's my thing. Like I want Ahmad running at Romero where he's shit, which is defending his own third. Not Romero when he's pressing up high against Ahmad in our own half. Romero do a pen against Ahmad. Exactly. Like, if you can run at Romero and Van de Ven in their own thirds, they're one of the worst defenders in the league. If they're pressed up against you at your halfway line, they're hard to beat. It's when you beat them there that you get it. So I'm saying put your best player out wide, your best attacker out wide, so they're not pressed up against them. And then you're running at them when they're backpedaling, when they're at their worst. That's what I want. I want Ahmad attacking them in the final third, not in the midfield. I think you're wasting the strength of Ahmad doing that. Because that's the thing. Yeah, when he's getting run at, he just sticks his leg out. Exactly. So let's let Ahmad beat Udogie and run at him, not sit up against him while he's being pressed. You know what I mean? Yeah, Ahmad's played right wing back the last few games too. Yeah, like I think Mount and Bruno have the movement to drag him around a little bit. But yeah, I mean, this is what I would go with for the starting lineup. This is what I would go with. I'm not sure he'll do it, but this is what I would go with. Let me poll you guys. I'm curious what you think. Most of the players have played in the finals. Well, that's the other factor, experience, right? Maguire, Mazraoui, Onana, Casemiro, Bruno, Mount, Shaw. These are guys who have won big games. Garnacho, even, to be fair. But, like, Mount's won a Champions League. You know what I mean? Like, if there's a game, this is the guy. This is a game for a guy like that. We have big game players. Casemiro's a Champions League winner. Mount's a Champions League winner. Luke Shaw's been in European finals multiple occasions. You know, these are winners. Yeah, Casemiro's won a few himself. Yeah, Mount has been a big player in a Champions League. Casemiro's won 4. Like, these are the guys I want right now. Onana lost all his. I hear you, but he's been there. Like, we don't have another option, to be clear, obviously. Look, if we had a different goalkeeper, I'd have a different. I certainly don't want Bayindir in there. Let's put it that way. Mazraoui's been in big games, Maguire's been in big games. He's been in European finals. He's been in England finals. So is Shaw. Shaw scored against Italy in a Euro final, Maguire in that Euro final was very good and also had the best penalty I've ever seen in my entire life to this day. Casemiro's won 5. Oh, is that how many? Maguire's got ice in his veins in a final, man. If he had been there in our last Europa final, we would have won. If he wasn't injured for that final under Ollie, we win. I'm so positive we win if he had been there. So positive we won that game if he had been there. Especially because we conceded the goal to Villarreal right in the right in his spot off a cross that he would have cleared that Lindelof couldn't get to. Like, I've never been more convinced we would have won that game with Maguire. Since day one, I've always felt that way. Yeah, Lindelof was in no man's land. Yeah. Can't believe I have to wait for week. I know, man. My nerves are so shot on this game, dude. I can't handle it. Like I said, I can do all of this. I can logic it out. I can think it out. I can make sense of it, and I can look at everything and say we should win. It's not gonna make me feel better, man. It's not gonna make me feel better. There's nothing that's gonna make me feel better. I need a distraction. I needed a distraction, man. Based on the poll, yes, but I'd make 1 or 2 changes. Hey, but yes is winning pretty clearly. All right. All right, so if you were to make, if you were making a change, hold on. I'll give you a few options here. I'll give you a few suggestions and say, if you were making a change, which one of the, if you wanted to make a change, which one of these would you be looking at? Dorgu for Shaw. Interesting. Okay. Rasmus. Oh my god. How I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Why do people think Rasmus should play? I don't understand it. I'm really quite curious for people's opinion on that. Because every time we bring it up and talk about the team, people say that. But I really don't know. Like, I just don't get what he's going to offer you. He's a striker at the end of the day and would have better instincts than Garnacho. In theory, but his instincts have been... I mean, Rasmus got dropped by Ten Hag ahead of our last final for a reason, too. Because he was so ineffective as a starter, you know, in these games. Rasmus is... But you can get so much more from another player. Like, isn't Garnacho going to tire players out, too? Like, wouldn't Garnacho tire players out just the same? Maybe more because he actually runs in attack? As much as I don't like Højlund, I'd rather him one... Rasmus is never getting one-on-one with the keeper. Never getting one-on-one with the keeper. He's never getting one-on-one with the keeper. It's like I've said many times, as much as I've criticized Garnacho a lot, he's a much better footballer than Rasmus Højlund. And I don't need Garnacho to score. I want him to what he does do better. What Garnacho does do a lot better than Rasmus Højlund is help us get down the pitch. I don't need Garnacho to score. We've got other players to score. Casemiro and Ahmad and Mount and Bruno and... I mean, even Ugarte and Maguire have goals, and Yoro have goals for us in Europe. I don't need Garnacho to score. I need him to get us down the pitch. You know, I need him to get us... I need to get us to the final third. That's all. And he does better at that. He does better at running into the channels, at picking up long balls, and at carrying it. I think people don't like, lineups with... Well, obviously, if we had a number 9, I would play him. But like the expected value of Højlund is on another, like, is nothing. He doesn't win duels. He doesn't win aerials. He doesn't help you in the build-up because he just loses the ball every single time. He doesn't win his aerial duels. Hold on. Hey, let me pull up some stats here. Hold on. Like, I get what you're saying about winning and losing aerial duels, but what are you talking about? Neither, like, you're acting like Højlund is good at winning duels. When? Are the winning duels in the room with us? You know, like, where are these duels that Højlund wins? I think people are confused because they see a big body in Højlund and think he wins duels. When? Where's the duels? Where's the aerial duel wins? He's in the 10th percentile, my dude. Where are they? What? You know, like, when's he winning these duels that I'm hearing about? Garnacho has everything, but he's just a really poor shooter. You know what I mean? He's just really inefficient in the ball. What's Garnacho? Let's look. Hold on, give me a second. Because I was actually looking for the raw numbers. Hold on. Look, Garnacho's absolutely horrific in the air too, by the way. Like I'm not, he's a winger, so it's a little more expected, but he is awful in the air. All right, like absolutely dreadful in the air. So don't get me wrong, all right, but like when you're talking about a striker who wins 23% of his aerial duels, they're not offering you anything in build up. He's winning 23%. And he's gonna and he'll be against Romero, who's actually quite decent at that, especially in the midfield. Like he's not winning us anything. Keep it on the ground. Keep it on the ground. Keep the ball on the ground. Do not lump it in the air to any of these guys. Just keep it on the ground. You know, because this guy's not winning his duels. Hold on, I'm curious. I want to check. I mean, there's also the other factor, in my opinion. By the way, there is one other factor. Rasmus is a really bad presser, and it's kind of odd because I don't think he was this bad last year. He's an awful presser. Do you guys remember the first half against Lyon? He almost single-handedly was killing us because his pressing was so fucking weird and bad. I feel like he has no idea what he's doing when he's pressing. I've actually almost never seen a worse presser in recent times than Rasmus Højlund in the front line. He looks completely lost when he's pressing. There's no energy. He doesn't run. He does some really, really poor pressing. I don't think Garnacho's a great presser either, but it's a lot less lazy. It's super weird when Højlund presses. I genuinely have no idea what he's doing. You know, like that's why I'm like, I just like, what is he gonna give us that, honestly, like aside from he doesn't defend from the front, he's a poor dribbler. I honestly don't know what he does that gives him any advantage beyond apparently he's a 9, but you know that's not a thing, right? Like people don't have like a like he's a 9 ingrained into their DNA. It's about what they offer, what they do. What does he actually do that makes him a 9? Beyond stand in front of defenders. That's my question, and that's where like what exactly do you do here? You know what I mean? Is my question. Like, because it's like instinct? That's like his worst trait. He has some of the worst box instincts on the planet. He's always reactive. Garnacho has good instincts. Garnacho finds himself in the right area. It's probably his best trait. Like, Garnacho has really good instincts for finding his ball in the right position. He just can't do anything with it. But, like, you know, like I get on Garnacho's back all the time, but there are a few things he's good at. And one of them is finding himself in the right spot. It's what comes after that. That's the problem. You know? Like, it's not great, but everything he does is still better, aside from his duels. These guys fucking can't jump, man. I wish we had players who could actually win a ball in the air. Well, I get it, but off ball still provides you with value. Obviously, we need more. But like I just don't like. You're literally to me talking about in Rasmus. I think you're talking about the worst player in the Premier League, quite honestly, and I don't even think that's being dramatic. I think you're talking about the worst player in the Premier League. Garnacho's not even close to the worst player in the Premier League. Garnacho is for me a right now. He would start for probably 8 teams. 8 teams maybe. He would start for. I don't think Højlund plays for anybody at all. Like I don't think he'd make it in the Premier League at all. Garnacho will make it as a professional in a league like the Prem. He can make it. I don't think Højlund would play in the Premier League. For anybody else. Being as dramatic as you were about Anthony, I don't. Anthony hasn't proved anybody wrong just because he can go to La Liga and do anything. Anthony was one of the worst players for us in the league. I don't give a fuck what he's done somewhere else. That's again, that doesn't. It's a meaningless thing when people go to a different club in a worse competition and perform better. You know, it's meaningless what they do there. We just destroyed a top 4 team in La Liga. What does that tell you about the quality of the teams below Barcelona, Atletico, and Real Madrid? It tells you that that they're awful. The quality of those teams below the top 3 in La Liga probably are all championship teams. Not there. I think they would get every single one of those teams would probably get relegated in the Premier League if they were in the Prem. I think every single one outside the top 3 gets relegated in the Premier League. It's so bad, and it's the same of most other leagues, by the way. The Premier League is top to bottom far and away the strongest overall. I'm not saying at the top it's the best, but it's like the gaps are so much smaller, and there's Elo and stuff on this that show that kind of stuff too. But it's the same with others. La Liga is a bum ass league below the top 3. It absolutely is. But the top 3 at other leagues is better than the top in the Premier League very often. It's been that way for a long time, to be honest. What's your opinion on Hackney? I think he's an amazing player that would fit into our midfield perfectly. If we were a Spanish team, we'd have exactly, and that's part of what makes the top 3 there so strong. They never even have to compete; they just play every year. They're there, so they get guaranteed money all the time. You know, how would they not get relegated? We're like the worst team outside of relegation teams, and we just destroyed the 4th place team in La Liga. So you're telling me the 15th place, the 10th place teams in La Liga wouldn't get relegated? I think they would. I think they're around the quality of, like, you know, I think they would. I think they very much would. I don't think they could handle it. Now, obviously, it's sort of a pointless discussion because they would change their teams and how they play and all of that. But so what, you know? Betis would beat United 6 times out of 10. Okay. Good for them. I doubt it, but good for them because we watched their best player play for United and be awful. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you? I'm talking about today. You can talk about previous years. I'm talking about today. The fact that Anthony went to Betis and is their best player tells you how bad that league is. Mm. Oh, I know, bikers. Anthony's doing the exact same thing he did for us, except it works against easier teams. Literally, you watch all the goals. It's the same thing. We've watched him for ages. He's doing the exact same run, the exact same move, the exact same cut inside and shoot. It's just in the Premier League, people defend him. In La Liga, they can't because their players are bad. Would you sell Garnacho to Chelsea for decent money? Sure. I don't care. Yeah, his goals are doing a lot of. His goals are it's the same thing he was always doing, but now they're going in because he's against worse defenders and worse keepers. It's really no different. It's really no different. He always played well against. You could see that too. Yeah, you could see that too. The league seems to have luck. You're totally correct too, Smokey. Like even Madrid is shit this season. I mean, I don't know. Atletico, Madrid, they were super uninspiring. Barcelona is good, but you know, it's almost like his form and confidence and not YouTubers hating on him. Yeah, let's blame the YouTubers when he went and sucked up to the biggest YouTube channel the day he arrived. He got literally backed by the biggest United YouTube channel, who wouldn't get off of his dick for the first year and the first 2 years while he was bad and refused to criticize him. But I'm sure it's YouTubers' fault Anthony was bad. Yeah, I mean, look, we had what we had. It's just different leagues. I think it's different leagues now. It's just different. It's hard to measure leagues against each other, but yeah. But yeah, like I said, I would go with this. This is what I would do. And then I get people would like we said, I think we had like 65% agree with that. And then a few would want to change, but if people wanted change, then the biggest change would be I think people are saying would be fitting Rasmussen for Garnacho. I don't agree to be fair, but Anthony has usefulness, but he wouldn't make it out of the United Academy. Yeah, I would agree with that. Can you see us getting 2 strikers? No way. It's Dalot and Højlund. I think it depends how you look at it. Like, you know, if you get Cunha in, all right, Breeze, that's enough from you. Yes, I used to block people for claiming that people were making false allegations without knowing anything about it and using that as a stick. I wonder why I might want to block people in Discord who are commenting about legal cases involving abuse of women. Not like we've had a history of any of these issues showing up at United and should be careful around things like that, okay? So fuck off. Goodbye. Don't be stupid. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I'm not talking about those things. And anybody who's talking about those things should be nowhere near me, this channel, or my community. We stay away from that. What happened to MUFC MPB's Twitter page? I don't know. He got blocked, or he got it taken down. I don't know why. I have no idea why. It's an odd one. We got our second best player playing wingback. These are the people who always are criticizing my opinions. Oh, it gives me so much pain. It causes me so much pain. All right, but this is a fine discussion where I will show you with evidence why Ahmad is better at wingback and why acting like it's some travesty to put him in the 10 is in wingback is like some terrible thing. All right. Okay. Here we go. Ready? Where did he come on against Brentford? Do you remember? Because he came on at wingback. Where did he score a hat trick against Southampton? Wingback. Where did he score twice against City? Started at wingback. Where did he get an assist against Forest? Wingback. Where did he get 2 against Everton? Wingback. Where did he get 1 against Ipswich? Wingback. Where did he get 1 against Leicester? Wingback. Look at all his games at the 10. 0 contributions. He's a better player from the wide areas. All his contributions come from the wide areas. Same thing against Spurs in the cup. Wingbacks are forwards in this system. All of his goal contributions and assists come from wingback. You neutralize him by putting him at the 10 for the exact reason I described earlier. He starts wide, has space to dribble, runs against defenders when they're defending deep. It's easy. He has 1 goal at 10 against Liverpool. That is one time. In the system, all I see is wingbacks playing so deep. That's because they're not Ahmad. That's because they're not Ahmad. It's because their natural instinct is to sit deep. This is a personnel problem. Players drop too deep. We can look at Ahmad as a wingback. We can look through his games. Yeah. This is his position, and you want to put him at the 10. That doesn't make any sense. He's a touchline winger. That's what the wingback position is made for. It's for touchline wingers. That's what this is a wingback. This is literally a natural winger. We can look at his games too when he scored here. Where did he play against Brentford? I actually don't know. Let's see. Where did he come on? Oops. Oh, look, wingback. No, he literally can't do it from the front three because he hasn't done it from the front three. He can't do it from the front three because he hasn't. I don't know what you mean. He's started many games. He started half of his games at the 10, and he has not even close to the same output. But talking about when he subbed on in an already a different game state is very different. Very, very different. Different game states when you're talking about subs. See, these are the people. You're blind. And you sit there and criticize my knowledge when I literally just showed you the data on it. Look. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 11. So you have 11 versus like 1 goal contribution. All right. Goodbye then. I didn't say he played bad games. He doesn't get goals though from the 10. Look. These 3 games here, he started in the 10 and gets nothing in a row. And then he gets 1 against Liverpool, which was a good game. Then he went back out wide and got a hat trick. Then he got the 10 and did nothing again. It's easily right wing back where he gets the most of his goals. It's like not even a debate. It's not even a debate. He's better at wing back. I don't even know why it's even a question. He's a wing back. This is his position. This has been his position all season. This is how he plays naturally. He plays as a winger. He's a touchline winger. He comes in from outside as an inverted left-footed touchline winger. Trying to play him in the central areas is foolish. It would completely neutralize his greatest strength, which is dribbling from out to in, taking people on. That's what he does. Every good game that he's had is like it. It's so weird. I mean, look. Wingback. He gets a fucking hat trick. But people are like, oh, you're taking him out of the attack. So? He gets a hat trick because he can attack from the right positions. Let's see. What did he come? He started as a 10 here. But look at his positioning. He basically was playing wingback again, just naturally. It was a good game, though. It was just a good performance from him in general. You bet Bruno's better as a 10 than as a CM than a 10? I mean, we could look. I think Bruno's been fine wherever he's played, to be clear, but it's not really my argument on the matter in general. Because he's not just a forward. Then you're talking about what was the result of the game when you're talking about a defender. I mean, here, we can look at some numbers, because people were claiming like he was only good because he was deep, right? No, I mean, that's just not true either. Okay, look. CM, here, look. 1, 2, 3, 6 goal contributions in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games. He has 4 in the last 3 playing as a 10. So what is the world where he's so much better as an 8 than a 10? He wasn't. He's just good. It wasn't like this big thing. It's just he's just a good player. He's going to get goal contributions no matter where you play him. He's been playing as a 10 against Athletic, and that was our best game over 2 legs. So it's just Bruno, you know? Look, he scores wherever he plays. Look, here's that's Nations League, so fuck that, whatever. He had this stretch right here where he had a couple really good games against Leicester, Arsenal, and Ipswich, right? This is when Ugarte was injured, I think, and he was playing deeper, if I'm not mistaken. But that's it. The rest of the season, his goal contributions are all coming from the 10. He played these 3 without scoring, and we lost 2 of them against Palace, Tottenham. Like, I think people just forget the bad games. It's the same. There's no difference. He gets contributions wherever he plays, you know? It's just, it doesn't really make a difference. It's just Bruno. It's about the same. Yeah, he drops deep when he plays the 10 anyway. The only difference is we have another player behind him, because out of possession he can be kind of weak in the midfield. Like, look, he's played as a 10, as an 8, or something like that. I don't care. Okay. Well, then I don't know what to tell you. I don't care about all the numbers you're showing me. Look, League Cup. I mean, I don't know. It's just, he just scores in different situations regardless of where he plays. When you say, I don't care about the numbers, well, then you're just making things up. Bruno's played as a 10 the majority of his career. Like, when we signed him, he played as a 10 in front of a 4-2, in front of a 2. It's the same position as a 10 in Amorim's system. Like, he's played as a 10 his entire career at United and had insane output. And suddenly we're going to pretend he was better as a deeper midfielder from like a 3-game stretch. It's so weird. It's such a weird thing. He's played as a 10 forever. No, it's the same people. I can see with this exact agenda. It's the people that for 6 months have twisted every thought in their head to say that Ugarte is bad. It's Mark and Splash and the same people who always do that. Nice. It's the same people. It's always exactly, Anthony. It's the same people. They don't like Ugarte, so they have to convince themselves that Bruno is better as a midfielder than a 10, because somehow that means Ugarte shouldn't play. It is exactly that. People are so transparent in the way that they fuck their own opinions up to convince themselves. It's such a funny thing watching people do that. It's so funny. It's so funny. It's so obvious because I'm recognizing it's the same names. Oh, it absolutely does. It absolutely does. It's the same people. They think Bruno's better deep because Ugarte's bad. That's exactly how it works. Because it's the same people that for 6 months cannot stop talking about Ugarte. Cannot stop talking about Ugarte. You know, it's the same exact names. It's the same ones every single time. There's people right now who criticize Ugarte. Yeah, it's the same ones. And it's the same ones. And there's plenty of people who criticize Ugarte who don't think that. But it's the same guys who've always disliked him, that immediately clung on to this thing about Bruno being better deep. It's the same guys, same people. Yeah, then they'll go, Bruno is not disciplined. I also believe Bruno is a better goalkeeper than Onana. I understand if you want Mainu in for Ugarte. I don't think they're the same player at all, but it's all good. Nope. Sorry, Splash. I know your game. People will twist everything that they see to fit that, and then you can't be objective anymore. Sorry to tell you that. Once you've decided a player is bad, we've all done it. We all do it. Once you've really decided a player's bad and you don't like them, you can't see objectively anymore about them, and you'll start to twist things in it. It's kind of funny. It's just how it works. I do it too. I try to avoid it, but I do it too. There's no doubt about that. It's easier to see when other people do it. McTominay getting in the way of Højlund? What do you mean about that? McTominay's the same player he's always been. It's the same player he's always been. He's a good box crasher. Yeah. I want Mainu at the 10 and Bruno replacing Ugarte. I mean, that's fine, but we've done it and it hasn't worked. Mainu's been very ineffective as a 10 as well, unfortunately. Is there a world where we tempt Rodrigo this summer? Ugarte's like Delict, underrated. I don't think we can get Rodrigo this summer. Ederson is more of an upgrade. They're not the same player. They would play well together, but they're not the same player. They're not the same player. They actually would play very, very well together. They're the right balance of players. Let me see. Let's compare. Because you've got your like more defensive player here, who's wins a lot of duels, and you've got your more attacking player who does a lot less defending. That was the Goldbridge excuse. I don't remember making that excuse. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't remember saying that McTominay was blocking Højlund at all. I've always disliked watching McTominay play because in the midfield I think he's a ghost, but I don't ever remember making that argument myself. Now change it to Casemiro. Yeah, Casemiro's a good player. I love Casemiro, but he also doesn't have the legs. And he's been a lot better with Ugarte than without him. But Casemiro is a good player as well because for a similar reason, right? Like he does these attacking options, right? That's what makes him and Ugarte a decent pairing in that respect because he brings the things Ugarte lacks. You know what I mean? He brings the things Ugarte lacks in terms of his progressive passes and key passes. You know what I mean? He definitely brings the things Ugarte lacks. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. You just have to pair him with somebody else who also does a lot of defensive work. But Wharton is on another planet. Like, Wharton's similar to Casemiro there, but he's younger and has legs. I would take him in a heartbeat, right? But Wharton is like a unicorn in that respect. It's like, look, if you had young Casemiro, you wouldn't need Ugarte. If you had a younger Casemiro, you wouldn't play Ugarte. You'd get somebody else to partner Casemiro. If you had a younger Casemiro, but it's just not how it is, unfortunately. But you're talking in Casemiro about one of the best midfielders of the last 20 years. So, like, I don't know. It's hard to find that. Like, that is the objectively funny thing here, right? Is that, like, with Casemiro, when he does well, you're talking about, again, one of the best midfielders of the last 20 years. It's not that easy to find a player of that quality. Because what Casemiro has done in his career is be a top defensive player and do some crazy shit with the ball, right? That's not that easy to find, It's not that easy to find. Wharton is one of the few players I think who could be that, because he is that. He is a unicorn. That is partially why I find it funny, like just the way that things go. Like in Casemiro, you're talking about, again, one of the best midfielders forever. Like, and I was begging United to sign him like 3 years before we did. Obviously, he was going to stay at Madrid at that time, but I was like, holy shit, we need to sign Casemiro. He would be the perfect midfielder to solve all our problems. I wanted him with Pogba. When we had Pogba, I thought back then about the best player we could get to pair Pogba, and it was Casemiro. Because I figured it would take a lot of the defensive burden off of Pogba, but give him someone else who can play ball with him back there. Casemiro with Pogba would have been really special. We never got Pogba a proper defensive midfielder who wasn't past their prime. When we got Matic, it was too late. Missed opportunities, man. Missed opportunities. Who do I think is a better player, Fred or Ugarte? Fred. But they're also very different. Fred is actually more like Ederson. Much more like Ederson than Ugarte. I don't know if he's still on here, Fred. No, unfortunately. Fred was a very, very good progressor of the ball, underrated in that respect, and an excellent presser. But you would put him, he was an attacking 8, to be fair. That's what Fred's position always was, and he got misprofiled as a 6. He's too sloppy for the 6. He was a bulldozing wrecker number 8 that we just used wrong for most of the time. I wonder if people have clocked yet that James doesn't see Ugarte as the final player for Amorim's midfield. He just doesn't understand the hate. Yeah, it's pretty much exactly that. It's pretty much exactly that. Like, that's all it is. It's like the way people talk is insane. That's all that kind of amuses me. I've said many times, I think that in the long term we'll have a different pairing in the midfield eventually. But I do really like Ederson. I think people are severely underrating Ederson as a player, as an attacking 8. But I don't know. It's hard to discuss the midfield with United fans right now because one, you have the Kobbie Mainoo problem. Like, people are so negative about our midfield because we haven't figured out how to make Kobbie Mainoo work. And I understand that, but it's not that doesn't, like, it complicates the discussion because it's a separate problem. Ederson could teach Mainoo, and that's exactly right to me, Marcus. Like, Ederson is what Mainoo can become better than, but profile-wise, I think that that's kind of similar in what they could do. Kobbie can become an attacking 8. He has the box crashing instinct. He has the shooting. He has the ball carrying. He has the dribbling. He has the ability to get out of tight spaces. If you were playing a 3-man midfield, where would Kobbie play? You'd put him kind of as your, like, you'd kind of want a 6 and 2 attacking 8s, and he'd be one of them, right? I don't really see our setup as that different. So, but we have Bruno. Like, if you got, like, I just give you an example of how I see it. Wrong Ederson, although he might do a job. You never know. Like, this isn't the right spot for main Kobbie. You know? It's not the right spot for Kobbie. But neither is this the right spot for Kobbie. It's not. There's no defending in here. These are both attacking 8s. There's no defending in this midfield. There's not enough ball winning. There's not enough, and it's just going to end up having him result in the same issue we had under Eriksen, where Ten Hag was forcing him to be the guy breaking up play and make tackles constantly, and then he gets injured because that's not what he should be doing. I don't want Kobbie Mainoo being our ball winner. That's not what I want. I don't think that's right for him. So you want a ball winner. I think that this works. Move that around for a second. I still think that this is where he has to end up. I don't care if it's Ugarte or another 6. I think this is still where Kobbie's best position is. Because when you have Bruno, you can't play Kobbie in the 10 with Bruno. This doesn't make sense to me. This doesn't work as a team. It's the wrong balance of profiles here. So he just needs to develop. But I think that the Kobbie problem is making people confused about how to build our midfield. That's all. But I think that the Kobbie problem is just that he needs to just develop. And we need to just let that happen. That's all. Just let it happen. Just let him get healthy, let him get fit, and let him develop in there because he's still very inexperienced. Very inexperienced. Just give him time on that. He's played less than anybody else in this team by a significant margin. And he's obviously a little bit of an in-betweener, but as we get better, he will play in this role, in my opinion, better. He will play in this role better, in my opinion. You went away for a meeting and I'm still going? I know. I'm mostly just talking through all of we're still a week away, so it seems pointless, but I'm mostly just talking through all of our nerves over the game, Run a poll asking? No, I don't even want to do that. But no, look, long term, I think it's this. And that's fine. Why can't Cobby just be the backup for now? Why can't Cobby just be the backup for Ederson for now? Why not? It's fine with me. Get Ederson here. Eventually, you find maybe the next season, depending on how Ugarte does in his second year, you get another 6 to replace Ugarte. And then you have, signing Ederson, Ugarte, Mainu as your 4 midfielders. That's fine for me. And then you have Kone as well coming through. That's fine. What's wrong with that? What if you, next year, what if you had, here, what if we did, who could this be? I don't really know of an example here, to be quite honest, because I don't think the 6 is quite that easy. Let's say you shot for the moon, and you had Adam Wharton, right? You just say that that's somehow possible. All right. What's wrong with this? What's wrong with this being your midfield unit? What's wrong with that? Nothing. It's okay for Cobby to be a backup. Ederson is like the scum McAllister. McAllister was a great option. You know what I mean? And in the exact type of profile, and Ederson is really similar, and you can see the impact that a player like that has, because they can be really good going forward, but they're also a fighter in the midfield too, which matters. This is a good midfield unit. This is my argument, my discussion on the whole Ugarte thing. This is okay. I'm fine if that's where you end up. But, what I don't want is sticking Zubamendi in here or saying we have to get Mainu and Mainu has to start. It doesn't work, Those things don't work. This is a good unit. You could replace Wharton with a better 6. Not a better 6. A different 6 who we can afford. I don't know who the name is. I don't know who it would be. I don't know. I don't have the answer, Sway. I ain't got the answers, okay? I don't know who it would be because I think the 6 is a bit of a weird position at the moment, like the 9, where there's actually not a lot of good options who do everything. Because I think that a lot of the 6s are shit defensively, like Zubamendi out of possession. I would not stick him in this midfield at all. He would get eaten alive, So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know who else it would be. So, but yeah, I mean, that would be ideal for me. Wharton and Ederson would be ideal for me. I think it'd be an incredible midfield. Yeah, I think it'd be great. Balaba or Wharton? No, I'm not going to say my opinion on that. Never mind. I still don't think Balaba is the right guy. I don't think Balaba is the right guy in a 2. I think you with Ederson or Mainu. I still think you need someone a bit more combative next to him, but that's just my opinion. I don't expect everybody to agree with that, but I'm not saying he's not a good player. I'm just talking about the balance. I'm just saying that. I didn't say he wasn't a good player. I didn't say that at all. I have some considerations about the balance of that still, personally. What I really don't want to see, and what sticks out to me, and I understand that people will differ on this opinion, but it's a big point for me, is I don't want to see our midfield losing fights anymore. I'm so tired of it. I'm so tired of our midfield losing fights. We've been weak and losing everything physical in the midfield for ages. And I want serious like fighters in there. Onana was the one. I like Onana. He also wouldn't be an Ugarte replacement at all. Onana is not a 6. He's not a 6. He's a good 8. He's not a 6. Sanderberg is okay. He's far less combative than Ugarte, despite what people on Twitter would like to tell you. He's slow out of possession. He makes good tackles when he makes them, but he is far less combative out of possession. Far less combative. I really do like Onana, by the way. I did want to buy him last season. Carl Anka said we need 2 thug midfielders. I know, because Carl's actually watched Amorim's teams play. We need a more well-rounded destroyer. Yeah, the upgrade on Ugarte is a more well-rounded player. It's Casemiro. It's a fit Casemiro. You know what I mean? Correct, Splash. And the thing is, you do need that in this midfield. You do want that in this midfield. Again, what we need is a Casemiro regen, a highly combative, energetic 6 who has more skill set than Ugarte has. That's the long-term view of the 6. Who's that? I don't know who that is. Wharton can be that guy. But I don't know if he's attainable. I don't think that that's that easy to find, honestly. I really don't think it's that easy to find, because yes, the ideal midfielder is a more aggressive 6, is a younger Casemiro. There is no doubt about that. Just tune in. Is it a favorite 11 if we win Europa? No, but I would love to see us do that in the midfield. Well, Corindor, the thing is that people were already laying the groundwork of it so that, they could turn on him. Meanwhile, zero credit for his, for what he's done in the Europa League. 5 goals and assists in the knockout rounds. But hey, it is what it is. But yeah, like, get me a younger Casemiro and I'd be happy. I just don't know who that is. And until then, I'm fine with Ugarte as a fighter in the midfield, because we don't have a more combative player in the midfield than Ugarte, and we're missing that. And I want to say that even though Fred is not the same player, I said we would struggle a lot without Fred. And look at how our midfield turned to a donut last year. A huge part of that was the loss of Fred, because he was covering up a lot of those gaps with his energy, with his engine, with his fight, with all of that, right? Fred was filling a lot of those gaps, even though he was chaotic. He filled those gaps. And when he was gone, holy shit, the midfield had nothing. The combativeness went to 0. That's why Fred was good in big games for us, because we would fight and we could win the battles in those games. When we lost it, it was over. If you look at like our game against Barcelona away in Europa under Ten Hag, Fred was marking De Jong and harassing him, and he did an amazing job that game, and we missed you miss that when you lose it, and I think that people underrate that you do miss that when you lose it. If you do not have a fighter in the midfield, you're gonna lose. You're really gonna struggle. We need that. There's players who can fight and kick a ball. I agree, but it's not as easy as people are making it out to find. Like, it's just not as easy. That's what I'm saying. I don't disagree with you in the slightest, but it's not as. I think people look at it like and say, "Oh, well, yeah, you can get that." But the other factor in this is that our partners are not that combative. So you could get away with somebody who's a little less combative if you had that. I mean, the funny thing is, didn't to a degree, well, not really the same position. I was trying to think about Conor Gallagher, because Atletico paid a lot of money for him, right? And he's not the same player, but he is a little bit similar. He's like an combative energy ball in the midfield, but he's a bit more attacking. So I don't know, a bit different. I think Casemiro just doesn't have the legs to do it. Elliot Anderson. Sure. Sure. Yeah. Sure. Looks good. Yeah. But that's the other factor, Genghis, is I always give players 2 seasons. And all I will say is that, again, you look at the players, to me, Ugarte and De Ligt are the same player. They're the same player. I think both are players I'd be happy to see play right now that are not long-term starters for us. They both have the same strengths and weaknesses. They've both performed about the same for us. And I would rather see both of them in the team than out of it. But I don't think either is the long-term guy yet. I don't think either has proved that they could be the long-term guy yet. Because they're the same. I mean, they're quite literally the same. You know? If anything, Ugarte might be better than De Ligt, but we're not ready for that conversation. Maybe we are. I don't know. Palacios, because he's short. He is really good, by the way, but he's short. But he is short. He is a short player who's not great in the air. I don't think it's a stretch at all. De Ligt can't pass the ball either. He's solid defensively. He's got a lot of mistakes in him. De Ligt's given away like 4 penalties this year. I don't know if you know that. De Ligt's got some big errors in him. He's cost us quite a few times. I mean, he's made a lot of mistakes, De Ligt. He's pretty error prone. But he's a solid defender, and his passing needs a lot of work. His in possession is a bit weak. Unlucky. So it's like, I think Ugarte's made like 1 bad error that led to a goal. 1. And it's like, he's awful, you know? Come on, like, you know, he's made literally like 1 bad error that led to a goal. De Ligt's given away like 4 or 5 penalties. But it's okay. They're about the same. But you see how you're already making excuses for him, right? That is not true, Splash. Ugarte does not make errors every game. See, that's one of the things that's very strange. Ugarte has some of the lowest turnover numbers in our team. He's not a risk taker. You got to pick one narrative. He plays it way too safe. That is a valid criticism of Ugarte. He plays it too safe. He's not error prone at all. He just plays it too safe. Too often he's playing the safe pass. Too often he's going backwards, you know, things like that. He's not like someone giving the ball. You know, Casemiro's given away way more balls than that. Everybody makes mistakes. De Ligt plays it super safe too, and has made the same errors. Like, it's the same discussion. They do the same things. Yeoman could be a wild card for the mistakes. The problem with Yeoman, and I quite like him, is that I don't think he's got the athleticism for the Premier League. The more I've watched him, the more I think he probably couldn't do it in the Prem. I like him though. He in theory he's the right guy, but I think I don't know. I don't know. It's not a debate. I'm not like jumping down De Ligt's throat or anything at all. How does he make up for it? What is the thing that he makes up for it with? What are the magical things that he makes up for it with? Ugarte's long passing is decent. Yeah, it is. He's made some good switches and some good outballs and things too. He's also Ugarte's also been fundamental to our Europa run. De Ligt hasn't. He hasn't been there. He gave away a pen against Sociedad in the first 5 minutes that cost us a game, that cost us a goal that we came back from. Like, I quite like De Ligt, but he's not done something so much more special. He's just getting away with it. And ironically, in Amorim's system, you need more passing from your center back than your midfield. So, I don't know. You can keep saying it weren't a penalty, in my opinion. I could say I think Ugarte was fouled on Sunday, but it doesn't mean anything. No one else is giving away 5-6 penalties a season, you know? So even if it's an accident, even if it's tight or something like that, it's not happening to anybody else. So what are you going to do, you know? No one else is giving them. No one else is giving away those penalties except him. It's still the truth, you know? But it's okay. Like I said, they're similar. I rate both of them around the same. Well, De Ligt's also on double his wages, but hey, we're not allowed to talk. But then we're not allowed to talk about that. No, my point was, Splash, it's just an opinion saying they weren't penalties. They literally were, just like it wasn't a foul against Ugarte. So you can make your own opinion up about it. That doesn't change the reality. Doesn't change the reality of the situation. They literally were penalties. Ugarte literally wasn't fouled. So they're the same things. You can just make it up. There's no argument about it. There's no debate about it. They're the same. It's just one is hated and one people will just defend to the end of their days for some reason. It's very, very odd. Very, very odd. Hillman can make it in the league for the same reason others. Yeah, and maybe. You might be right, Jack. I quite like Hillman. It's possible. We did like him a lot, but I don't think we're going to go for Sporting players at this point. At Sporting, the CMs had to be press-resistant, high-octane pressers. Exactly. They were not ball carriers or playmakers. Exactly. Oh, nobody wanted to say a word, Anthony, about that. Nobody wanted to say a word about it. Ivan Jokeres. No, it seems like we've passed up on Jokeres because of that situation. João Gomez just signed a new contract at Wolves. I quite like him, though. Hackney, I would love as a partner in the midfield. I would still go get him. And I, with Middlesbrough not going up, then we should be able to get him. Why are you guys spamming names? What happened? Did I ask a question that you guys started spamming names for? What happened? Why is everybody spamming random names suddenly? Did I ask a question? I don't remember half the shit I said. Ballet. Oh, you're just getting. It's just everybody did it at once, so I was confused. No, it's all good. You guys can hang out. By the way, what do you think? Huh? I forgot about this, but it arrived and I had it sitting next to me. That's good, huh? That's good. I'm not gonna wear a hat today, but anyway. The mugga hat. I made it not red for a reason because I was like, I don't want people to not wear. If they wanted it, I don't want people not wearing it because it's red. Oh my god. What am I missing? Sorry, I was just looking to see if I missed something in the last 2 hours. Oh, man. Jesus. Oh, God, no. The hat we should give players when they win Euro? Yeah, that would be fun. Green and gold. I know, and I tried, but I couldn't find it from the production company that was making them to get it in green and gold. I also think, like this is printed, right? But I want it to be sewn in. So I'll find another one too. Like the printed one is okay. I'd rather spend a little bit more to get a sewn in one though. Like that has it sewn. But no, this is nothing to do with political opinions. It's just co-opting things is not agreeing with them. It's usually quite the opposite, funnily enough. When you co-opt something and satirize it, I think it's the opposite of agreeing with something. I think it's generally almost making a mockery of it, just for people to just in case. This is an apolitical stream. I don't talk about shit. All right. Well, it's been almost 2 hours. Is there anything else I wanted to talk about today? Any inside scoop on Euro? What I said the other day. There's a chance. There's a chance. There is a serious chance. I honestly, I think they're gonna make it. Remember those people who want to tell in January? Yeah, well, that's kind of my point too. Is when people rate players like really, really high, and then they're gonna be the solution, and they're gonna be so much better, and then I don't know. Especially if you don't. I honestly think if you're not buying someone from the Premier League, you really don't know how they're going to perform. It's like it's such a toss up. Like unless they're like genuinely a superstar. You know what I mean? I think it's a 50-50. Like it's so 50-50. The players that are in other leagues like Baranekia. Hold on here. I'll pull it up. He's yeah. Still can't carry the ball, But yeah, more passing. Like you look at the difference between the two of them. You're basically saying you're getting somebody who can carry the ball a little less for someone who can pass a little more. It's not that different, But how would he do in the Premier League? Would he do as well as he is now? I don't know. It's a gamble. Like I think it's far from a guarantee. Is this the right Kamara? Did I hit the wrong one? Because that looks terrible. Oh, I did hit the wrong one, didn't I? He progresses the ball less than Ugarte does, but he does carry it better. A lot less. I'm not sure that from just on stats you're getting an upgrade here. Chris Kamara. Like just on stats. I'm not saying I've watched him. I'm not trying to make that judgment. I'm just saying that. Unless I'm still picking the wrong person. I did pick the wrong person again. Hold on a second. You were talking about Lamine Kamara. He's basically the same as Baranekia. Thanks. So the same thing. Still can't carry the ball. Better progressive passer. Like more passing, less carrying, less defensive actions. I don't think it's that different. Like I don't think you're guaranteeing some crazy upgrades with these because they also have to translate to the Premier League. So like I get it. Him playing in France actually raises the bar for me. Like I think he has I like the French midfielders. I like more. I like the midfielders who play in France more because of the intensity of how the league plays. I think it's better. Like I'd be much more wary of this than of the guy from Monaco, personally. So yeah, I mean I get that, because I do think the midfielders in France can usually turn out well in the Premier League. They have a better conversion rate, I guess I would say. But I'm not sure that that's the right fit because he doesn't carry the ball. Like if you're looking for an upgrade, shouldn't you get somebody who actually does what Amorim wants? Don't you want like a top carrier of the ball? I don't know who that is. You know, Balaba doesn't do nearly the defensive work. This is why, by the way, why I said about Balaba that I don't think he actually like solves the problem, because defensively he's actually below average at his duels. Just saying. Just saying. Stiller, yeah, but then you're talking about Germany. I like I he's also, yeah, I mean, different. I think you're talking about a partner. This looks more like a partner, Same with like you take, reindeers. This is not a 6. This is a partner, right, to a 6. I don't think Hackney shows up here. Yeah, I mean the only actual answer is Adam Warren. This is the only guy who actually does everything. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I'm unconvinced that it's so easy to upgrade on Ugarte that you could just get anybody. I'm unconvinced. I think Wharton is the only like convincing answer where I'm certain he is so much better. Reindeer famously does not want to defend. Yeah. Like the only one where I am so certain he's better, but he also plays in a Prem, which helps, right? Tonali is more like I think Tonali's more like a 3-man. Like he's not going to be your 6, I don't think. Tonali's decent going forward, right? Stylistically, anyway. I really think people are underrating. Like, how do you find me somebody who's not Wharton, who's super combative and high volume out of possession, but also good on the ball? It's just not that easy. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm not saying you shouldn't try. Like you could talk about Coop Miners, but like no offense, but people were hyping this guy up and he's crap. So on the charts he looks good. He's not crap, but I wouldn't take Coop Miners. Never. Never, ever, 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 ever would I take Coop Miners. you know? Caicedo. Caicedo is a good call, to be fair, but he cost 100 million. You are right on that, by the way. Yes, Caicedo, but he cost Chelsea 100 million. But you're right. This is the guy. I agree with you. That would be one of the ideal calls. Would be someone like Caicedo, but I just don't think it's that easy. That's why they paid 100 million for him. That's how much he cost. Like you got to be wary of charts because Zachariah looks like that, but Zachariah's kind of crap, personally. Barella. He's not a defender. I knew that before looking at it. He's a great player. Barella is crazy, but he is also a partner to a 6, not a 6. In this, it would be an incredible partner in the 6, to the 6, not a 6, but an amazing partner in the midfield. Barella. He's pretty well rounded, but I don't know if I trust that necessarily. How come all the players propped up by? You gotta ask yourself questions. They're not the only ones. There's been a hell of a lot of midfielders that have been getting immense hype that turned into crap. Lavia's a good player, but his injuries. He doesn't even have a chart on here because he hasn't played enough. Andre Santos. On the graph, this looks good. Yeah. Locatelli? I don't think Locatelli's good. Like he's always a player who looks good, but I don't really rate Locatelli. You look at his stats, he looks insane, but I don't think he does it outside of Italy. I think he's one of those players who would not translate well, personally. But he is really good. I mean, I don't know. But in theory, yeah, Matt's Weaver was like hyped, right? Hackney's definitely an 8. But Santos a trash at Forest. I mean, yeah, you're just going off the graph. And that's fine. I'm just saying, like, you know, it is, you know, you can't just use the graph. But, like, I think Yeomand is on here. See, and he's become much more of a passer, especially this season. I'm just not sure if he could hack it. But he might. Paulinho can't pass the ball. Like, let's not pretend Paulinho's good on the ball, okay? He's similar. He's to me a slightly worse Ugarte. A little better defensively, but even worse on the ball. I like Yeomand, though. I do like Yeomand. Gravenberg. Yeah, Gravenberg is actually a great shout of a player who kind of became that guy. Yeah. Gravenberg kind of became that guy. He, you know, I don't think anybody actually expected him to be, but he kind of became that guy. High volume, out of possession, ball winner who's also silky on, you know, gotten really good carrying and progressing the ball. I don't think anybody expected that, to be honest, but Tchouaméni, I would take in a heartbeat for this as well, yes. Tchouaméni would be like my ideal if you could get him. I would take Tchouaméni in an absolute heartbeat for that 6th position. I would take Camavinga too, to be fair, but like I would take, if either of these midfielders from Madrid were available, I would take them. And they're not even necessarily the same. I'm just saying I would take either one in an absolute heartbeat. Camavinga or Tchouaméni, if they were moving one of them on, I would bring them in. If you had to ask me today, my top 3 players would be Camavinga, Tchouaméni, and Wharton for this position. Because they've done it at either in the Prem in Wharton's case or in Madrid. I rate both of them very, 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 very highly. Tchouaméni and Camavinga. Everyone hated. Well, and see, that's the thing, Danny. You never know what a player can become. You never know what a player can become. Bruno G. I think Bruno G is more of the attacking 8 as well, you know? I think he's more of the attacking 8 as well. I don't really see him as a 6. I think, you know, again, you're playing in a big midfield with a lot of players. You know, with a 3-man midfield, it does make a little bit of a difference. Is the other factor. Balaba. We looked at Balaba, and I said before, my concern is I don't actually think he's that good defensively, but I don't think he's that combative defensively. It's the type of position, I guess what I'm saying is I don't want somebody unproven because I think you get way more flops than successes for the 6. If you're getting someone unproven, they're probably going to be behind Ugarte, and that's fine. But just recognize that. They may not be instantly like your guy. Like Ugo Chukwu, I like a lot. His graph is not dissimilar to Ugarte's for now. But yeah, like I would take Ugo Chukwu because I think in the long term he could be better than Ugarte for this types of position. Like that's just an example to me. But if you want somebody who's an instant upgrade, then I would rather be looking at Tchouaméni, Camavinga, Wharton, guys who are proven. I think I think it is a next summer situation, right? I've said that before as well, right? Like I think that put this back how I had it. Like, this is my team for the final, by the way. For you who missed it earlier, this is what I picked for the final. But for next year, Palacios, how has he been, by the way? We were looking at him. We almost bought him 2 years ago. Has he kind of fallen off? He seems like he's more attacking than he is defending, but is that just because of the Bundesliga? He has also had huge injury issues, and I'm looking at 1,100 minutes again, and I'm like, does he have bad injury problems still? Because that was one of the things that turned us off of him, is he kept getting injuries. Is that still an issue? Because that would be my concern with Palacios. He's very injury prone, isn't he? Let's see. Hold on. He's missed 54 games with injuries this season. 46 days last season. 74 the prior season. 70 the prior season. 100 the prior season. He misses a lot of games every year. A lot of them every year. And I think that's hard for him to get into a rhythm. That was one of the reasons we moved away from him. Like, he's missing 10 games a season on injuries, you know? Yeah. I quite like him too, but yeah. But yeah, look, if you're asking me about next season, my guess is, in terms of how we spend, we obviously go for the attack. Right? And then I think we're going to spend money. The following thing is we're going to spend money here. And then the following thing is I think we'll go for a center back and a goalkeeper. And then I think next summer, you're looking at Ugarte and you're looking at your defense more. Maybe another forward, depending on sales. But I think that next season, if you were to ask me what our starting lineup looks like next season, today, ouch. Like, if you were to ask me what our starting 11 looks like next season, today, I would say maybe we could throw Lamens in. I was good to see Simon Stone confirming this as a target, by the way. One we've been talking about for a while. If you were to ask me, like, next season, I would see something like this being the starting 11. And then I think the following year, you're looking at this, and you're looking at the back again. That's what I think, personally. Delap, I think I'm starting to get a little more confident, for sure. Just a bit more. Just a wee bit more confident. Marcus Llorente? Llorente was great as a player. But he's like a fullback nowadays, right? It's been more than 2 hours, and I'm gonna end it here because I gotta get to work. So, yes, thanks for hanging out, everybody. Enjoyed the day. We'll have a few of these long streams to just yap and take the edge off for the next week until the game. We'll hang out. We'll keep doing it. Maybe tomorrow we'll have some new news to talk about ahead of Chelsea on Friday. We'll do a pre-match on Friday. We'll watch the game on Friday. And then we'll do plenty of yap in the next week and leading up to a very, very difficult, nerve-wracking final.